Hello and welcome. My name is Austin Little. I'm here in Southlake, Texas, and it is my privilege to get to talk to you about Freedom Equity Group. This company has absolutely changed my life, so I'm very excited to share this with you. There is an absolute massive shift taking place right now in the financial services world, and Freedom Equity Group is leading that charge. So I'm going to talk to you about a few things. I'm going to show you who we are as a company, what we're attacking in the marketplace, our products and services that most of the American consumers do not know about. And then I'm going to show you how all of that positions us with a very unique business opportunity. Now, being in the world of financial services, a big part of what we talk about is retirement. So let's look at the American retirement picture. If you line up 100 Americans starting at age 25, when they reach age 65, now I know there's a lot of numbers on the screen there, but the one on the right really sums it all up. Only 4 out of 100 are earning $45,000 a year or more in retirement. Said another way, 96 out of 100 Americans reach retirement age dead or dead broke. Now, you think about it. We live in the richest country that's ever been. It's not perfect, but it's the best place there's ever been to live. And 96% of our population retires dead or dead broke. Guys, that is a huge, huge problem. And you think about it, no one I talk to tells me, yeah, Austin, $45,000 a year is my dream retirement. Oh, and by the way, that number is before taxes. So the numbers show that 4 out of 100 are winning the race, so to speak. But in my opinion, it's really more like 1 or 2 out of 100. But let's just use that 96 and 4 number. I tell everyone I meet with, look, my first job is to get you out of the 96% and into the 4%. And we can do that one of two ways. One is with our products and services. 2 is with our business opportunity. Now, a couple things about the company before we get too far. We were founded in 2002, and I'm just going to point out a couple of my favorite points here. You can read the rest. That middle one, business is up 1,000% in the last 5 years. Now, I love that one because, first of all, that does not happen on accident. If any of you have any business experience, you know you can't fake your way to 1,000% growth. But the other reason I love that is where there's growth, there's opportunity. And that was a big deal for me. I wanted to be in a growing, thriving, expanding business. That was important. And then the second thing I really loved is that bottom one down there. We have a tremendous, tremendous training platform. If you're like me, you don't have a background in financial services. So that was really important to me. And actually, most of our people don't have a background in financial services. So as we're going through this presentation, if you like what you hear, but you're concerned about that, maybe your lack of experience there, don't let that be a hurdle for you or a roadblock, because like I said, myself and many others, that was the case, and our training is absolutely incredible. It takes care of that, no problem. Now, this is something that may not mean a ton to you at the moment, but it's one of those things you really grow to love and appreciate when you're working with us. So we're independent. What that means is we get to pick and choose who we represent, pick and choose who we work with, what products and services we offer, etc. So what that does, first of all, it keeps us absolutely cutting edge. When a new product comes out, we stay competitive because we get to pick and choose what we offer. But also it keeps our rates very competitive. And then there's tremendous, tremendous strength with being able to partner with these different companies. Like that one right there in the middle, that F&G. That stands for Fidelity and Guarantee. One thing I love about them, not all that long ago, they were purchased by the Blackstone Group, which if you're tuned into the world of finance, you know that is, the elite of the elite. They're literally the largest private equity fund on earth, worth $650 billion with the B, and they're the largest private holder of real estate in the world. And we have a couple unique exclusives with them, which give us a huge competitive edge. So again, that's one of those things you grow to really, really love when you're working with us because it's a big asset to our business. Now, we're talking big picture, but let's boil it down. What do we really do for our clients? We protect your most important asset, which is your income, whether you live, die, or get sick. Now, when I'm sharing this story with someone in person, usually right about that point, they kind of look at me funny, and then they start nodding along with me because most of us have never thought of our income as an asset. But when you think about it, your income is really the asset that protects all of your other assets. You see, for most of America, if the income stops, everything else stops not too long thereafter. So we protect that, live, die, or get sick. Now, I know that sounds really good, but what does that really mean? Well, let's cover all 3 phases. So the first one is, what if you live too long? And I know that sounds kind of funny. You say, well, that doesn't really sound like a problem. But financially speaking, that's a huge problem. What that means is you outlive your money. And don't forget our first slide, 96% of America retires dead or dead broke. That means we've got a lot of people outliving their money in this country. Now, problem number 2, what if you die too soon? And people say, well, isn't it always too soon? Well, of course, but I mean financially, once again. Financially, the way you do this is you die while someone else is counting on your paycheck, whether that's a spouse or kids or parents, whoever it may be. If someone else is counting on your paycheck and you pass away, that's way too soon. And then number 3 is what if you get sick along the way? Now, I don't mean like a cold or the flu or something like that. I mean something serious. I mean heart attack, stroke, cancer, a serious situation. What do? Most people don't have anything in place for that type of situation. Obviously, we have the solution to all 3. But before I share that with you, I want you to think for just a second with me. Every single one of us is going to end up in at least one of those categories, if not a couple of them. That's not really the problem. The problem is we don't know which one and we don't know when. You see, if we knew which one and we knew when, it'd be a lot easier to plan for. But because we don't, in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense to plan for all 3. And fortunately, we're able to do that with one product, and it's the life insurance you don't have to die to use. Now, if you're like me, when you hear that, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to you, because when I heard that, I thought, well, I think that's how life insurance works. I think you have to die to use it, right? And that's the way it's always been. But see, what I learned is with the old insurance, like we just discussed, you have to die to get the money. But with the new kind of life insurance, you don't wait until you die. You get the money when you're diagnosed. You see, now there's something called living benefits, where if you get sick along the way, heart attack, stroke, cancer, a bunch of other things, you can access up to the full amount of your policy while you're still alive. So you can almost be your own beneficiary. Then what I learned is there's no additional cost, and there's living benefits on a variety of different products, because we know not everyone has the same need or the same goal or the same budget. You see, this part right here, this is what actually opened up my eyes to what Freedom Equity Group's doing. This right here is what got my attention and got me excited, because I thought, man, if I'm understanding this properly, that's incredible. And I want the people that I know and care about to hear this story. And so that's what got my attention. But it's one thing to hear about an idea or a concept. It's another thing entirely to hear about how it affects real people and real families. And when I heard that, that was when it became real. Just one example of that, one of our clients here, Amy Tan. Now her story is incredible because it's just so impactful. Amy's a single mother. She's got 2 little girls at home, and she kind of out of nowhere got a breast cancer diagnosis. Obviously, we know that can turn someone's world upside down very quickly. Fortunately, though, one of our agents got to her before this ever took place. So she had replaced her old insurance with the new insurance. So she had living benefits. Well, she submitted her claim, and just shortly thereafter, she had over $400,000 sitting in her bank account, tax-free. Now, obviously, that would make a big impact. One thing I love, she was able to complete her treatment. She made a full recovery. She's back to work. And to me, it was so cool because she was only a client of our company. She wasn't working with us in any capacity. But after this happened, she came to work with us because it made such an impact on her family that she wanted to share that message with other people. And to me, that says a ton about what we really do for our clients. So it's interesting. You can have the best product in the world, but if you don't have a market, you don't have much of a business. You may have a great product, but you don't have much of a business. Fortunately, that's not the case here. You see, there's 149 million life insurance policies in America right now, and 146 million of them need to be replaced. That means 146 million of them have the old kind where they have to die before they ever see a penny. And another thing I love about this, that's not 146 million people that we need to go convince they need life insurance. That's 146 million people that have already decided on their own that they need it. We just have a better kind for the money they're spending. You see, just like that Amy Tan example, she was already spending money on life insurance every single month. We simply redirected those dollars. And it's really powerful when you're able to do that and get them something better for their family. So remember what we're doing here. I know it's a lot at once, but it's actually very simple. We're protecting your income, live, die, or get sick. Well, traditional life insurance takes care of your family if you die. The living benefits, I think you'd agree with me, take care of you and your family if you get sick. But then the missing piece here is, what if you live? What if you live that long, healthy life like we hope you do? What's your solution for that? We already know Americans are failing retirement. So what's the solution to do this successfully? Well, what most people are doing is, the most common plan in America is the 401k, followed up by the IRA. And then there's a bunch of different types. But what they all have in common is they're qualified plans. Okay, now what does that mean, just in case you don't know? That means they qualify for tax-deferred treatment. So what that means is, the whole idea there is, hey, don't pay your taxes now, have more money to grow and accumulate and work for you, defer those taxes and pay that later on in retirement, which it sounds really good on the surface. I mean, I could make their sales pitch for them. But the problem is, when you understand how they really work, all of a sudden it doesn't sound too good. So I'm going to show you how they really work. In these plans, you have a silent partner, and the partnership is just all kinds of fun. You're going to take all the risk. You're going to put up all the money. You're going to pay all the fees. Your silent partner gets his percentage every time you take money. By law, he can increase his percentage anytime he wants. He's revenue hungry, and he's $22 trillion in debt. It's your favorite uncle. Now, I always pause because I love this country, okay? That's not what this is about. What this is about is, I don't trust our politicians with my retirement dollars, and I don't really want their hands in my piggy bank any more than they already are. Now, let's just look at those two bold points right there. By law, he can increase his percentage anytime he wants. Well, how does he do that? Taxes, right? He does that by raising taxes. And then that second bold point, he's $22 trillion in debt. It's interesting. Our tax rates are actually pretty low. When you look at history, they're pretty low. But our debt is through the roof and growing rapidly. So what would be the quickest way in the world to put a big dent in that national debt? You guessed it, raise taxes. Now, I always make myself very clear right here. I'm not telling you taxes are going up, because obviously I don't know that. I don't have any control over it. But in my opinion, that is the entire problem right there. We don't know it, and we don't have any control over it. So this isn't me telling you to be afraid of taxes. This is me telling you to get the tax risk off the table entirely. You see, everyone's familiar with Section 401k of the tax code. They may not realize they are, but they are, because that's where the plan gets its name, and that allows you to defer your taxes in retirement, like we discussed. But most people are not familiar with Section 7702 of the same section of the tax code, which gives you the ability to have a tax-free income at retirement through the vehicle of life insurance. And that's what we specialize in. So let me ask you a tough question here. Now that you know both are possible, would you prefer a taxable or a tax-free retirement income? Obviously, we all know the answer. In about 3 years of doing this, not one person has ever told me, hey, Austin, I want that taxable thing. Of course not. Everyone wants tax-free. But the crazy thing is, there's over 120 million Americans right this second with a taxable retirement plan. You see, I know they're not all unintelligent. They're just uninformed. And it's a lot of fun that we get to be the ones to champion that cause and take that message to the American people. Personally, I absolutely love that. So right about this part of the presentation, people are always getting excited because you know what? Everybody loves the idea of tax-free money. Everybody does. So people are getting excited. But then I kind of burst their bubble because, I point out tax-free really doesn't mean anything in the world if you can't accumulate enough money for it to be meaningful, right? So that's the missing piece here. Can you accumulate enough money to make that tax-free thing meaningful and make it work for you? That's what I'm going to show you how to do. So again, most people for their retirement, they're in those 401ks, their IRAs, all that kind of stuff. Most American retirement dollars, in one way or another, are tied to this red line right here. Good old stock market, S&P 500. It's fun when it goes up because you get all the gain, but it's not so fun when it goes down because you get all the loss. So what we do is we take that loss off the table completely through the vehicle of indexing. Now, indexing is an incredible financial tool, and it has a couple rules that make it possible. So the first rule is there's a floor. The second is that there's a cap. So on this particular product, the floor is 0.25% or 0.25%, and the cap is 14.5%. So if the market goes up 8%, your money grows 8%. Market goes up 17%, your money grows 14.5%. That's where that cap comes in. But where it gets really fun is if the market goes down 5 or 10%. You just stay where you're at. And actually, you get that 0.25% growth. Or when the market goes down 39% like it did in 2008, you just stay where you're at. You see, 0.25% doesn't sound that exciting unless everyone else is losing 39%. Then it'll blow you away. That's what's so powerful about indexing, is being able to completely eliminate the down years. And you can see the effects of it in our example here. We're beating the market by 111% since the turn of the century. And you can see the difference in the lines, and that's just a little 19-year snapshot. Imagine what that looks like as you stretch that out even more over a greater length of time. So hopefully you're starting to see the pieces of the puzzle come together here. And that right there is how we make that tax-free status work for you, and we make that meaningful in your retirement. It's absolutely incredible what this does. So I'm going to show you an example here of some fake people, but some real numbers. So we call them Bobby and Susie. What we're going to do here is bring all this together for you. And we're going to focus on the retirement aspect, okay? So what would happen here is one of our agents goes in and sits down with them, and we see that Bobby's spending $300 a month on retirement. So we say, hey, we're going to show you what that same $300 a month would do here in our plan instead of what you're currently doing. So obviously $300 a month, that's $3,600 a year. And over 40 years, that's going to be $144,000. Now, every now and then someone says 40 years. Well, that's age 70. Why 40 years? Yeah, 70 is really the new 65. Almost no one is positioned to retire at 65 anymore, unfortunately. So that's what we're going to show. Now, that's what he's putting in. But what does he get for it? Well, day one, he's going to have a tax-free death benefit of $374,000. And I always point out, we can get someone far more insurance than that for $300, but this example is focused on retirement. This is streamlined on retirement. So if he needed more insurance, we'd get him that inexpensively, but we're just going to focus on the retirement piece here. So he's got the $374,000 death benefit day one. He's also got living benefits up to $374,000 tax-free. Again, remember what we're doing. Protecting your income, live, die, get sick. So we've already covered him if he dies. We've already covered him if he gets sick. But what if he lives? Well, in our example here, starting at age 70, Bobby's able to take out, for round numbers, about $66,000 a year tax-free. And he can take that out every single year, year after year after year, until the day he dies through age 120. So if he lives to 121, he's on his own, but we got him until then. That is absolutely incredible. Now, if he made it to age 95, he and his family lived on about $1.7 million tax-free, and he still leaves his family just shy of $200,000 tax-free. So you think about that. Look at the blue number up there. He's putting in $3,600 a year, and then the blue number at the bottom, that allows him to take out about $66,000 tax-free. That's a pretty good trade-off. And by the way, I know most people aren't used to dealing with tax-free dollars. We get to, which I think is awesome, but most people aren't used to it. That $66,000, that would be like making about $87,000 at your job. Or said another way, you'd have to take $87,000 out of your 401k to be left with that. And that's assuming taxes don't go up. If taxes go up, that becomes more valuable immediately. But then I also always like to point out, he put in $144,000 over 40 years. And in just over 2 years, he's already got every bit of that back. That's pretty incredible. Now, the one thing I didn't point out, every now and then someone says, well, Austin, why are you doing $300 a month? Is that a minimum? Where does that number come from? No, there's no minimums, nothing like that. It's simply whatever a person's budget and goals allow for and whatever they choose to do. But the 300 number is because that's right about our nationwide average. So every big city, every small town, everywhere in between, we average right about $300 a month. And the thing I think is so cool about that, just look at our example here. We're not talking about some massive investment here by Bobby and Susie. We're not talking about some situation where you have to have a ton of money or a ton of capital just to get your foot in the door for some investment opportunity. It's nothing like that. We're talking about $10 a day, and we're giving them a $66,000 a year tax-free retirement. I mean, $10 a day, that's like a fast food meal a day. That's nothing crazy. And remember that first slide, the top 4% of America retires on $45,000 a year before taxes. Right here for $10 a day, we got them at $66,000 a year, tax-free. Absolutely incredible. And by now, you should be realizing why we're able to do the things that we do for our clients. It's absolutely incredible. So let me ask you this. Do you think your family and friends would want to be protected with living benefits and a tax-free retirement? Of course they would, right? Everybody always tells me yes to that. And the second question, would you be open to earning additional income? Now, if you're watching this presentation, I'm going to assume the answer to that is yes. Every now and then we meet with someone that say, no, actually, I'm pretty happy doing what I'm doing. And to that person, I say, hey, not a problem at all. You told me you want your family and friends to see this. So if I do a good job for you, will you refer my services to them so I can take care of them as well? And so we get a lot of referrals that way. But again, I'm going to assume that you are open to earning additional income. So now we've kind of covered the product side of things. I'm going to transition into the business side because it's important to cover the product part thoroughly because you got to know that that's right. You've got to know that that's real. You've got to know that we're doing a good thing for people. But once you know that, it's interesting because it's positioned us with a very unique business opportunity. You see, I love the living benefits. I love the tax-free retirement. But truthfully, my favorite thing that we offer people just might be our business opportunity because almost everyone I talk to out there wants more out of life than what they're getting. But most people just aren't really in a position to do anything about it. And I love the fact that we give them a chance to do something about it. So let me show you what that looks like. As we recap very quickly here, remember 96% of Americans retire dead or dead broke. We got 146 million people with the wrong kind of life insurance, and we've got 120 million people with the wrong kind of retirement. Now, the one piece to this puzzle we haven't really talked about yet is our industry needs distribution. You see, we have these cutting edge products coming out. We have this big positive shift in our industry on the product side, but the agent base has been declining now over the last couple decades. So we need distribution. We're looking for good people. And what's interesting is the distribution is what pays. You know, an example we can all relate to, think about Amazon. For the most part, Amazon doesn't own their own products. No, what they really are is their distribution. They figured out a more efficient, more cost-effective way to get a product to our doorstep. They're a great distribution model. So similar to that, the distribution is what's paying in our industry right now. And we have a solution for that. Now, fortunately for us, Freedom Equity Group has set this up where we get to leverage what they've put in place and actually build our own business and build our own agency within the company. See, I equate it to real estate a lot. There's a couple options in the real estate world. You can be a realtor and you can sell a home or a property and you make a commission when you do that. Or you can be a real estate broker. You still make that commission when you sell a home or property, but you also can make a commission when one of your realtors sells a home or a property. You see what Freedom Equity Group's done, they've given us a chance to essentially be that broker from day one and build our own agency. So let me show you how that works. And it starts right here with our training system. And we train you the way you'd want to learn anything. It's on-the-job training. You're arm in arm with the qualified instructor, absolute expert in our business, and they're going to show you the ropes and teach you this thing inside and out. And the first step right here is your 3 and 3. What does that mean? Well, we're going to help you get 3 new agents in your agency and have you see 3 training sales. That way you can start to see that process and learn that process. Now, when you complete your training, you're going to get either a $900 or $2,000 training bonus, depending on what level of training you complete. And you're going to get a promotion to district manager. Okay. Now, let me be clear. This is not about the title. What's exciting here more than anything is now all of a sudden you've learned a skill set, you've learned a business and a profession where you can go create something special for your family. That's what's powerful here. Now, I'm about to show you some income projections. So let me just give you a little verbal disclaimer. These are projections of what could be. There's nothing guaranteed here. If you do nothing, you make nothing. But what these numbers are based off of, just so you know, these are based off of that average sale. So like that Bobby and Susie example I showed you, that $300 a month, every one of these sales are based off of that. So if the sale's a little smaller, you're going to make less. If it's bigger, you're going to make more, okay? But just those average examples. If you're a district manager and you're working with us part-time, you're helping 2 families a month, you're going to make just shy of $3,000 a month part-time. Guys, that's about $34,000, $35,000 a year right there, part-time, helping 2 families a month. That's incredible. I am absolutely convinced that is the best part-time gig in America, because if there's something better, I sure haven't seen it. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, I want you to think with me. If you could learn how to do this, could you teach someone how to do it? Of course, the answer to that's yes. And now I want you to just picture with me. Let's pretend you're currently doing whatever you're doing. You know, you have your same job or your same business, whatever it may be. But now maybe we're 3 or 4 months down the road and you're working with us part-time and you have your part-time business going and you're making, you know, about $3,000 a month. Or if you want to make more than that, do more. There's no caps there. There's also no quota. But pretend you're there, pretend you're doing that. Could you find someone else that wants that opportunity? Of course you could. We got 300 million people in America. You could absolutely find somebody that wants that opportunity. So let's pretend you do that. Well, first of all, you'd already be a regional manager here by default. I still have you doing your 2 sales a month. Again, that's not a quota. It's just an example. But we're going to assume that you found 2 people that wanted that same opportunity that you had. So you've got 2 district managers here working part-time with you, helping 2 families a month. You'll notice I didn't say you have 20 district managers. I didn't say you have 200. I said you have 2 good part-time people. What are you making? You're making $73,000 a year in our example here, part-time. That is phenomenal part-time money. Now, for some people, I know that'd be full-time. For a lot of people, this is where they start to see that full-time thing becoming possible, and all of a sudden they realize what they could really do here. So again, imagine you're in that situation. You have your part-time guys there working with you, and they see you making $73,000 a year. They're probably sitting there thinking, you know, you're good, but you're not that much better than me. I can do what you're doing. And the good news is you're incentivized to help them do that. None of this corporate America stuff where we're trying to hold them down and we don't want them to be as good as us because they might take our job. No, you want them to be as good as you because it's going to help you too. And so you show them how to get your job. You show them how to do what you're doing. And in the process, you become a regional vice president. We're going to assume that you just found 3 people there that could do what you did. So you promoted 3 regional managers here in your agency, and you're making $177,000 a year. And the thing I love about that, that's not $177,000 a year at a job. That's $177,000 a year where you're your own boss. You set your hours, you set your schedule, you live life on your own terms. That's the way to do things. And you see, the beauty of this here is now you're starting to get a leveraged income and you're getting some leverage in your life. You see, I learned a long time ago, the only way you ever really become financially independent is when you can get leverage in your life. You can't be the only person responsible for your paycheck. That's the beauty of what Freedom Equity Group has put in place. They've given us a chance to build our own agency and get that leverage in our life where we can do something like that for our family. So you probably caught on to how we do things now. It's one of the things I love about our business. You have to promote others to promote yourself. So we're going to assume that you promote a couple of these regional vice presidents here. We're going to assume you promote 3 of them. You'd be a senior vice president at least by default, and you're making just shy of $500,000 a year. And by the way, there's 7 more promotions available that I'm not even going to show. And every now and then someone says, Austin, come on, is that really real? Are people really doing that? Absolutely. Every number on the screen here is conservative. We have people that have blown away every single one of those incomes, and that's very intentional. So when you see those numbers, just know that those are very, very real. And truthfully, that's just scratching the surface on what's possible here. One thing I love is we celebrate our people. We have world-class recognition. We have Super Bowl rings you can earn. We're always in contests for trips, world-class vacations. I absolutely love it. Now, that's probably not the thing that's going to make you come work with us, but it is absolutely the icing on the cake. It's a great bonus to what we do. So let's pretend you say, hey, Austin, I love what you guys are doing. I'm ready to work with you. What next? Well, we have a one-time $125 technology fee. What that does, it gets you multiple websites. It gets you a bunch of marketing materials. It gets you a world-class back office to track your entire business. And yes, once again, that's a one-time thing. There's no recurring charges on that. Then what we do is we set up a personal launch meeting. We can only cover so much in a presentation like this. So this is where we sit down with you hand in hand and we set up a plan for you to be successful here. And then we get on about building the business, help you learn this thing, get your license. Okay, you have to get a license to do what we do. Here in the state of Texas and in most states, it's about $200. So all in to be in business with us, you're looking at about $300. And then we get you that training bonus as quickly as possible so we get you profitable right away. And then we just want to get on about winning. Once again, we are looking for good people. If you liked what you heard, get back to the person that shared this with you. I'm sure you have a couple questions. Get those questions answered. But let me tell you this, if it resonated with you, if the message of what we're doing resonated with you, lock arms with us. Let's do something special for you and your family. Let's win big.